Good morning. Today we're going to talk about angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side congruence. Okay, these are the last two sets of triangle congruence that you're going to learn. Tomorrow you're going to review. You'll have a study guide and there will be quizzes in Otis linked to the slide for you to get some practice on. And I think that's everything you need to know. Oh, there's no page 26 in your packet. That's good to know. So, I'm sorry, my kids are opening doors and it chimes every time. There is no page 26 in your packet. And I am aware of that. I know that it's missing and that's okay. I'm gonna do every other problem in your notes. Your homework tonight will be the problems that I don't do. So it's kind of like doing the odds and the evens, okay? Let's get started. So angle, side angle, congruence theorem states that if two angles and an included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of a second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So basically it's saying angle, side angle. And if they're all three in a row and they're both congruent like this, then we can say that those two triangles are congruent, okay? Let's take a look. Identify corresponding parts and write a congruent statement. Okay, so let's just focus on the things that we know are congruent. We have A and D, so angle A is congruent to angle D. Angle C is congruent to angle F. And we have line segment AC, this side is congruent to DF, this side. And given that we have an angle, a side, and an angle, we can say that those two triangles are congruent. So let's write our congruent statement. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to go through and do every other one, and then you can go back and finish the missing ones for homework tonight. Determine if there are congruent triangles. You can use any of the three that we've already learned. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, to show that the triangles are congruent. And don't forget about vertical angles because they are congruent, okay? So if you look at the triangles here, we have angles. These are both right angles, so we know that they're congruent. We are shown that these sides are congruent. And then we have vertical angles right here that we know are congruent too. So we have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. So this would be congruent. These would be congruent triangles. So angle, side, angle. That's how we know that it's congruent. Okay. Like I said, you're going to do this side at home. Let's do a proof together real quick. Oh, you guys, I'm so bad about moving the paper up. I wish you were here to yell at me. Miss Mac, move it up. I'm sorry. Okay, so if you didn't catch it, these are congruent by side or angle, side, angle. Okay. All right, let's do a proof for this one, and then you'll do that one on your own. So I'm going to set up a little table with my statements. And my reasons. It's a great way to organize your proofs, especially early on when you're just getting used to writing proofs, okay? So first of all, we're given the information that C is the midpoint of BD. That means this is congruent to this. We're given that AB is perpendicular to BD, so this is a right angle. And then BD is perpendicular to DE, so this is a right angle. And we can see that these are vertical angles right here. So we have angle, side, angle. So let's go through and list that information out. We can say that angle B is congruent to angle D. This is the definition of perpendicular. I'll just abbreviate it. We know that line segment BC is congruent to line segment DC, and that is definition of midpoint. Okay, because we are told that it's the midpoint there. And then last but not least, we have angle C and angle C are congruent to each other. But because they're both angle C, we need to be more specific. So I'm going to say angle BCA is congruent to angle DCE. And that is vertical angles. And there we have it. We have shown angle, side, angle. So we can say that those two triangles are congruent. I'm kind of out of space, so I'm going to go underneath here. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle EDC. And this is by angle, side, angle theorem. Right, so that's page 24. Let's take a look. We're going to continue on with angle, side, angle before we go on to the next one. So let me pull this down so you can see. I have to stand up to see what you see on my phone because it's recording from above. So that's why sometimes I forget to bring the paper up. So my apologies, you guys. All right, suppose AD bisects angle A. And so let's talk about what that means. If something bisects, that means it creates two equal parts here. So when it's saying that AD bisects angle A, that means that these two angles are congruent. They have the same measure. It's like cutting in half. It's like the midpoint. And then it's telling you that AD is perpendicular to BC. So that's going to create two right angles. And then you can see that they're both sharing this line, AD. Okay, so that's congruent to each other, obviously. So this is going to be angle, side, angle. Okay, so are the triangles congruent? We can say that triangles are congruent. By angle, side, angle, okay? All right, let's take a look at number 3. It says, what information would you need to know to show that triangles ACE is congruent to triangle BDE, okay? So ACE and BDE. So we're going to ignore, that line segment up there. It's basically just these two triangles that we're comparing. And we want to show that they are congruent by side, angle, side. Well, we can already see that these angles are congruent because they're vertical. So really we just need to show that AE is congruent to BE, so that's one piece of information we need to know. We need to know that AE is congruent to BE. And so this would be side, angle, side, and we need to show that EC is congruent to ED. Okay. All right, I have stared at this proof for quite a while, and they have not given you enough information to prove anything, that you cannot prove that those two triangles are congruent with the given information. And I'll show you why. Okay, it's telling us that BC is congruent to DA. It's telling you that AC bisects BCD. And then we can say that A and C are the same line. But here's the deal. We have angle, side, or side, angle, side. But we would need to show that this side is congruent to this side, because it would need to be side, angle, side, but it's not. We have the sides that are across from each other that are congruent, and there is not enough information here to show that these sides are congruent to each other or that these sides are congruent to each other. So I would say this is a bad problem. We're not doing it, okay? There is no way to prove that those two are congruent, which means I will go ahead and do number 5 with you. I think it's good for you to see lots of proofs and get lots of practice with proofs so that you're confident with it. So oh my goodness, you guys, that whole time the paper was down too low. Okay, so if you missed it, what I was saying is that we would need to show that these two sides are congruent to each other, not across, because these two sides are the ones that would be corresponding. These angles are congruent, and this side is the same. So we don't have enough information to prove that one. We're gonna skip it. And I am so sorry about the paper. Even when I just talked to you about it, I've got problems. Okay, so let's do number 5 together. And now you can see what I'm doing. Isn't that novel? It's a novel idea. All right, so let's take a look at what we know. It says that C is the midpoint of BD, which means this line is congruent to this line. It says that C is also the midpoint of AE, which means this line is congruent to this line. And we have vertical angles. So here we have it, side, angle, side. So all we need to do is write in everything that we know is congruent and list the reasons for it. So I'll start with the line segment BC is congruent to the line segment DC. And this is the definition of midpoint. Okay. And then we have line segment AC is congruent to line segment EC. This is also definition of midpoint. Okay, and then the angles, angle C and angle C. But since they're both named C, we need to be more specific. So we're going to say that angle ACB is congruent to angle ECD. Okay, and we know this because they are vertical angles. And there we have it, side, angle, side. We can say that those triangles are congruent now. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle EDC by side, angle, side. All right, so that is our angle, side, angle notes. And let's go ahead and talk also about angle, angle, side. Let me pull it down so you can see, and I will try really, really hard not to forget to move it up for you, okay? I wish somebody was here to yell at me. You guys need to yell at me through the camera. Okay, so determine the angle measures or side measure that is needed in order to prove that each set of triangles is congruent by angle, angle, side. Okay, so angle, angle, side is when you have two angles like this, angle, angle, side, and the other triangle has a corresponding and congruent angle, angle, side, then we can say that those two triangles are congruent, okay? So we have this side, this angle, so we need these angles to be congruent. So I'm gonna write in 70 degrees here. We need to know that to show that those two triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. Just like before, you're going to go ahead and do every other one. I'm going to go through and just do half of the problems with you. Determine whether there is enough information to prove that each pair of triangles is congruent by angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. And then we're going to write a congruent statement to justify our reasoning. Congruent statements to justify our reasoning. Okay. Let's see what we have going on here. We have two angles that are congruent, and then we have two more angles that are congruent. But we're going to need either the side between the angles to be congruent for angle, side, angle, or we need to have angle, angle, side, or angle, angle, side. But you guys, they have not given us enough information on this one, so we actually cannot say that those two triangles are congruent to each other. So we can say, we do know that angle F is congruent to angle J, and we know that angle E is congruent to angle H, but we don't have, there's no, they didn't tell us anything else. So we can say not enough information. Okay, there's no way that we can actually show that those two are congruent. Okay, let's take a look at number 24 here. We have side, angle, angle, or we could just say angle, angle, side if we read it from the other way. So it looks like we do have enough information here because we have angle, angle, side. Okay, so we're going to say that angle STR is congruent to ZTW. Okay, that's the first thing that we know. We know that angle S is congruent to angle Z, okay, because they're both right angles. And then we can see that the line segment SR is congruent to the line segment ZW, okay? So we can say triangle RST is congruent to triangle WZT because we do have enough information there, okay? All right, let's take a look at the next page. All right, number 26. Okay, we have, I don't know that we're given enough information here. We're trying to find that angle FGH, this whole thing, is if it's congruent to JHG. Well, if we look at this, we can see that angle G is congruent to angle H. Oh, actually, I do think that we have enough here, because if this angle, if these two angles are congruent and these two angles are congruent, then that means if we add those two angles, we're going to get congruent angles here. So we could say these whole things are congruent. So that means we go angle, side, angle. So let's write the side down first. We have GH is congruent to HG. And we can see that because this angle is composed of two congruent angles, that they are also congruent. So we can say that angle FGH is congruent to angle JHG. So these two triangles are congruent. Okay, and the congruence that we used was angle, side, angle. Okay, I think I forgot on the last one to say how we knew it was congruent. This was angle, 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 side. Angle, angle, side. All right. All right, I'm gonna leave the rest to you guys. So I'm gonna let you finish up any problems that we didn't do together for homework tonight. And hopefully your quiz went well. I'll try to get those back to you tomorrow. And then, like I said, tomorrow you're just gonna be working on a study guide. You're gonna be doing some quizzes. If you need me, I'm an EX1. So if there's anything that you're not understanding about transformations or triangle similarity, please come and see me. I am so happy to see you and help you. All right, you guys, have a great day, and I'll see you later.